Chile was once considered one of the most stable democracies in Latin America. For decades, the country maintained a strong tradition of elections, functioning institutions, and peaceful transfers of power. While many nations in the region struggled with coups and political instability, Chile built a reputation as a place where democratic rules were respected and governments changed through the ballot box rather than by force. That reputation faced a historic turning point in 1970, when Salvador Allende won the presidency through a democratic election. Allende was not just another political leader. He was a committed socialist who believed Chile could transform its economy and society through democratic means. His victory marked a moment that attracted worldwide attention. Allende's election was historically significant because he became the first Marxist leader in Latin America to reach power through a democratic vote. At the height of global ideological tensions, this development was seen by many as a bold political experiment. Could a country move towards socialism while still maintaining democratic institutions? After taking office, Allende introduced major economic and social reforms aimed at reducing inequality and expanding state control over key industries. One of his main policies was the nationalization of Chile's copper industry. Copper was the country's most valuable resource, and Allende believed its profits should benefit the Chilean people. His government also expanded land redistribution programs. Large estates were divided and given to rural workers in an effort to reduce economic inequality. These reforms created strong reactions. Many workers and left-wing supporters welcomed the changes. Others feared economic collapse and a shift toward communism. The situation unfolded during the Cold War rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union. During this period, socialist movements in the Western Hemisphere were viewed as a strategic concern by the United States. Inside Chile, economic and political tensions increased. Inflation rose sharply, and shortages began appearing across parts of the economy. Strikes, protests, and political confrontations became more frequent. The country grew deeply divided between supporters and opponents of the government. By 1973, Chile was facing a serious political crisis. On September 11, 1973, the Chilean military launched a coup against the government. In the capital city of Santiago, tanks moved through the streets while soldiers took control of key buildings. Fighter jets soon attacked the presidential palace, La Moneda. President Allende remained inside the palace during the assault. By the end of the day, the government had collapsed. After the coup, Augusto Pinochet emerged as the leader of the military government. Political parties were banned, and opposition was suppressed. Thousands of critics were detained, exiled, or disappeared. Human rights organizations later documented thousands of cases of abuse during the dictatorship. At the same time, the government introduced major economic reforms based on free market policies, influenced by economists trained in the United States. Supporters argue these reforms stabilized the economy and encouraged growth. Critics say they increased inequality and were implemented under authoritarian rule. In 1988, Chile held a national referendum asking citizens whether Pinochet should remain in power. Most voters rejected extending his rule, opening the path for democratic elections and political transition. 2 years later, in 1990, Chile officially returned to democratic governance, closing one of the most controversial chapters in its modern history. Even today, the events of 1973 remain one of the most debated moments in Chile's past. For some, it represents the collapse of a democratic socialist project. For others, it marks the beginning of a painful but transformative period in the country's development. Chile's story shows how political ideology, economic pressures, and global power struggles can collide in ways that reshape an entire nation's future.